Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Ethex's Cuppa Club. I hope you're all well today, and we've got a really interesting session today. So I'm glad that you can join us. So I'd like to introduce Carol Sargent from Mind4You. Carol, if you can give us a quick wave. Thank you very much. And we've got Jen Smith here as well from Signalise. And interpreting for us today, we have the lovely Claire as well. So welcome, Claire. So just for those of you who might want to focus on Claire's interpreting, you may just want to go to the screen, and on Claire's box, you'll see a little blue box with 3 dots. And if you wanted to pin Claire's screen, then you can do that from that little box. Otherwise, if you go into gallery view, then you will be able to see everybody all together. So you'll see Jen, Carol, and Claire and myself. So hopefully you can find something which is comfortable and easy for you to view. And we will be also having the chat function open as well. And that will give you the ability to submit any questions you would like throughout the webinar. And I will try and feed those into the conversation as we go. If I can't do that, then I will do some quick fire questions at the end just to wrap up and make sure we have answered all of the questions. So just to recap, I'm Lisa Ashford. I'm CEO of Ethex and Energize Africa, 2 of the UK's impact investing platforms. And today we're joined by Carol Sargent from Mind4You and Jen Smith from Signalise. They are both raising funds on the Ethex platform as we speak. And we're going to be chatting to them about their organisations, what they're doing, why they're raising money, and also just a little bit more about their organisations. So a little bit of housekeeping. Will run for about 45 minutes. As I mentioned, you can submit questions via the chat function. And I just need to say that this isn't a financial promotion in any way. And this is just highlighting the good work of Signalise and Mind4You. We will send a follow-up email following the webinar, and you can also watch this back in your own time as well, because we are recording the session. And we can't answer any questions about your own specific financial circumstances. So I hope you enjoy the session today, and let's kick off. So let's come to Jen first. Jen, if you'd like to give us a 2-minute introduction and just tell us about Signalise and what they do.
Yeah, good morning. So Signalise, we established in October 2019. We were approached by a group of Merseyside interpreters back in 2014. So the idea of the co-op for sign language interpreters and deaf people has been around for a while. Once we established in October 2019, our development was quite rapid. We have managed to raise £65,000 in grant funding for the development of our governance. We're a multi-stakeholder cooperative, which means we have worker members. So Claire is one of our members who's interpreting today and doing a great job. And user members, that's deaf people from the community in Merseyside. And soon to have investor members after the share offer has closed as well, which we'll be very grateful for. And we have been trading for around 7 months now and doing very well, and looking to just scale the business really from the share offer and invest more in the platform.
Perfect, thanks Jen. Over to you, Carol. Welcome today. If you could give us just an introduction to yourself and Mind4You, that would be wonderful.
Certainly can. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about MindforYou. We're an organisation that are all about supporting people living with dementia, their family and their friends. And particularly it's about opening the world of holidays and leisures so people can still continue together to get joy, relaxation and some quality time together. So we were established initially as a social enterprise. We've been delivering holidays since 2015, and obviously during the pandemic we haven't been able to take any of our guests on holiday, and we've developed digital services and activity packs to bring our holidays into people's homes. We want to open our services to many more people, and we became a charitable community benefit society just in March. We're very young, and we are all about growing our organisation, working with people that have a similar ethos and values to ourselves, so that we can not just allow more people to access our services, but we can share all the knowledge that we've gained, so people can continue to holiday independently, do activities, visit excursions and things like that. So it's really about allowing people to continue to do the things they did before a diagnosis of dementia, and to do them together, not separately.
Right, great, thanks Carol. So both of you, Jen, you go first. Let's just talk about what have been the challenges that your organisation is looking to overcome by launching this digital platform?
So especially over the last decade, what we've found is that private businesses are using a very traditional model of providing interpreting, and this actually leaves deaf people and interpreters out of the equation. So what we have is commissioners for health and social care purchasing interpreting services without deaf people really having a say as the end users of those services in how they receive services. And we've seen that in some areas of the country there are consultations, but it's very hard to actually affect any change and bring deaf people into the process. So that's why we have a multi-stakeholder cooperative where we have a direct line where deaf members can feed into the services and tell us what's going well or what's not going so well for them. And then on the other side of the equation, we have the end suppliers who are, just like deaf people, are co-owners of the business. So this is a much more empowering model and a better way of working for interpreters and other communication professionals for deaf people, and a much better way of bringing the user into the equation as well. This is something that doesn't happen around the rest of the country. With a private business, the profits are made for the owners of the business, so the shareholders. There are very few examples of any other models other than the private agency. There are a few charities around, but there is nothing, there are no large, cooperatives than the way that we work. It's embedded in our every processes. So we operate via circles. It's a method called sociocracy where everybody gets their say at meetings. We have regular meetings and training events with the worker members as well as the user members. So from the ground up, we are built to involve the very people that are the end users and the end suppliers of the service. And together as a collective, we are changing the face of interpreting.
That's great. And having that end user experience baked into your, entire being of an organization seems so important, and yet probably so ignored traditionally. So it's fantastic to have that built in. And how has that changed your path? Has it at all?
Yeah, so when we first established some of the initial funding that we received, we did a series of workshops and also ran a survey as well. And the summary of that was basically what was people's idea of an ideal interpreting service? What do people actually want from interpreting services, whether they're suppliers or users? So we've baked into the development of the platform, which we're testing now, the final version of the platform. And so you can say that we've co-created that with all user groups involved via the information that we took from the survey. So all of the user design of the entire platform has been based on what people have said to us.
Great. And Carol, tell us about the challenges of people with dementia just going on a regular holiday, and how your service differs from that.
So a regular holiday for people living with dementia and their families can be really challenging, because it tends to be hotels that people go to, and a hotel room and the way a hotel is set up is not what people living with dementia are used to. They're used to homes, with living rooms, spending time in their kitchen, dining rooms, wherever they eat their meals. So it can be very, very disorientating for somebody living with dementia. And for the family taking their loved one with dementia, they can be on tenterhooks about how their loved one, may respond in a very different environment. So it can be very stressful. And certainly, MindforYou is, I'm the founder of MindforYou, and it's very much based on my personal experience in supporting my mum with dementia and my dad. And certainly we as a family used to go away, and it reached a point where realised that family unwittingly can put pressure on the family carer and the person living with dementia, because there's expectations for them to keep up, to engage with grandchildren and all these things. So at MindforYou, we have an environment where it's really small, homely properties that we go to with small groups. The properties aren't small, they're actually pretty large. They are just like a home, where people spend all the time predominantly in their living rooms when you're at the house. And before our guests come on holiday, we visit all of them, so that we really understand what is it that makes somewhere a home from home. It's not just bricks and mortar. It can be, a particular brand of tea one gentleman asked us to bring for his wife. It can be a particular biscuit. It can be having certain things there in the property that just allow the person living with dementia to feel that they're somewhere that is familiar. And also as staff, we know a lot about our guests who come along. So again, we will know, Susan's husband, he loved dogs. So we knew that if he was feeling a little bit anxious, chatting about their pet dog, or when we're out and about, these are the sorts of things that really understanding the people, we can help them relax. And also because we have a maximum of 8 guests on our holiday, and there's a minimum of 3 members of staff. So everybody there understands dementia. Everyone's there to support whatever, ever may come up, whatever concerns. So it's a very, very supportive environment. And it's also an opportunity where the family carers get peer support from one another. Because with dementia, it's a continuous learning curve. That was what it was for us as a family, and we're not unique. And you tend to think you're not doing a very good job as a family carer. But one of the things on the holidays is the carers get to meet other people who are in the same situation, and they realise that actually they're doing a really good job. And they also learn from one another and get tips to maybe approach things in a different way. So it's a holiday that we provide with MindforYou, but it's more than that, because it's an opportunity to relax and learn from other people and introduce people to other activities. Because, you know, again, that was a very personal learning I had. You know, my mum loved sewing and cross stitch and things like that. So we tried to introduce her to different types of sewing with her dementia. But actually for her, that became a tension because she couldn't do it to the level she wanted. So introducing somebody with dementia to different activities and getting to know the person who they are now is quite, you know, is really important. And one of my mum's befriender introduced my mum to a yo-yo. Yeah, I would never have dreamed of introducing my mum to a yo-yo, but that was something Christine knew my mum would enjoy because she'd got to know my mum with dementia. And that's what we also do on holidays. We introduce people to different activities or go on different excursions. So it's about, yeah, getting to know the individuals and getting to know one another and embracing dementia, really.
Yeah, thank you. So Jen, you obviously are developing a platform effectively for your services. To what extent do you see yourself as a service provider versus a, you know, tech for good company? How do those two things balance out?
As a service provider, what we're doing is using tech to bring down the costs of running an office, if you like, or the administrative functions that you need. So the tech part of the platform enables us to reduce our overheads and we can still pay people sustainable fees. So actually the two go hand in hand together. They're a vital part of our whole operation. So the more you can automate your services, especially in the back end, so your collection of data, the way that you operate, people's preferences, you can use how we're using tech for good is not just streamlining services, but bringing deaf people into the process. So matching them with interpreters that they prefer. And we've also got things in the platform such as ethnicity, gender, so that we can match people better and it improves the services and the quality that we're delivering as well.
Right, lovely. And there's a question coming in with regards to your geographical spread and perhaps also just touching again on how you differ from charities that provide the service.
Yeah, so we are for profit, so we do make a profit, but the profits are reinvested back into the community, and we can do that in a variety of ways. We want to support communication professionals more by providing more continuing professional development, support, supervision. There's a variety of ways that we can do that by bringing profit back in. We also have, at the moment, we're running a series of workshops with the deaf members to just explain the cooperative structure, to do a bit of education. It's all about rights training as well, to enable people, deaf members, to be able to advocate for their own rights. So profits are put into these kind of initiatives to enable us as a cooperative to just get stronger together as two sets of members. As for the geographical spread, we always said that we would pilot in Merseyside due to the communities there. We think that the way that the cooperative has to operate is by region. And we're looking to go out now to parts of Lancashire, Manchester. We already have members from the surrounding areas in Merseyside because there is a shortage of interpreters. There's only 1,300 in the entire country. So it's about one for every 70, 80 deaf people. So there's not enough. So yeah, so you can't, you need to go outside the immediate area to make sure that you can fulfill contracts. So we do have a membership slightly outside of Merseyside at present. And then once we've trialed the platform and our structure, which we're fairly sure about how we're operating now, we'll be able to go region by region. We're already being asked around the country to go to places like Birmingham, Hertfordshire, but we're not quite ready to do that. But and this is another thing that community shares investments will enable us to do a lot faster and a lot quicker.
Right, so you'll have sort of geographical hubs effectively.
Yeah, we envisage that we'll have, so the way that we operate in circles, we'll be able to have a circle, which is a meeting of a collection of members in a particular geographical area. So we'll be able to have, say, the Merseyside circle, we'll be able to have a Lancashire circle, a Manchester circle. And then if people are on the borders, they could join either one or both of them, depending on where they're servicing. So this is more on the workers' side, depending on where they A, live, and B, work, which are the geographical areas that they wish to cover. So we envisage that that's how it will work at the moment. And obviously any profits that are coming into a region, any work that's being done, the profits get ring fenced for that region.
Right, makes sense. Thank you. And Carol, back to you. Do you find that you have families from all over the UK as well? How do you operate on a sort of geographical basis?
We do. We've had guests come from Scotland, England, Wales, and holiday in all the respective countries. We don't currently offer holidays in Northern Ireland, but we have had guests that have come across from Northern Ireland and holidayed in Norfolk. They actually came across. So it's very much about offering UK-wide holidays to everybody in the UK. So, we don't have a geographical base. We've always operated as a virtual organisation, because from our perspective, it's about having the right people supporting our guests on the holidays, doing those home visits to make sure we really understand the individuals. And yeah, everyone, we've used Zoom when it started to be able to work as a group. And, initially it would have been probably simpler for us to focus on one part of the UK. But as I live in England, my family was in Scotland. I was very aware that there are quite different health and social care systems, and the way in which not just the individuals who have dementia, but their families are supported are quite different. So I thought it was really important to test, the service that we set up in all parts of the UK. So we really understood that this was actually a service that people wanted, and also something that really made a difference. And it's been one of the additional benefits, because initially we thought people, from England would just holiday in England, and there's some interesting facts that actually people who live in Wales, the majority of them don't holiday in Wales. The Scottish people tend to holiday more in Scotland, but we've had a real mixture, and that's really helped the guests support one another as they understand very different services, not just in those different countries, but even geographically, what sort of things are available to get support, what services people can go and enjoy. So there's a real opportunity to go back to their local community and search for certain things, or ask and lobby for those things. So that's really good, because hopefully that's all about what is the best quality support available for the dementia community. And as a Scot, living in England, I think, there are cultural differences, and it allows, yes, we don't offer holidays abroad, but it is different ways of life and approaches, which is part of going on a holiday. It's meeting new people and learning new things and going home and trying new things. So yeah, it's great fun.
Thank you. So just talking now a little bit more about the business models. So fantastic to see, firstly, two female social entrepreneurs who are obviously extremely passionate about what you do. Perhaps you could just tell us about how you put the business model together and what help you've had along the way in order to do that. Jen, if you would like to go first.
Yeah, we attended a workshop via Cooperatives UK, and then we're lucky to get support from the Hive, which is their Co-ops UK support package. So we've had help from advisors. We also had help via Power to Change for the community shares, and also prior to that from their Bright Ideas Fund, just to work on our governance, because as a bilingual cooperative, that can be quite difficult. We need to make sure that everything that we do is accessible. And then on the financial side, we've had help from Andy Woodcock, who's been absolutely brilliant, working around the cooperative structure and the finances. And also Dave Boyle. So we've had a lot of support along the way. The business model is basically based on sustainable fees for interpreters and other communication professionals, with an administration fee on the top. And that administration fee is what we keep down via using the platform and the tech that we have, that we use in the background in the office. So by keeping that administration fee a lot lower, we're able to offer value for money and cost-effective services, but with all of the added value that we bring as a cooperative, and all the involvement that we have from the co-owners of the business, which are the user members and the interpreters or communication professionals.
Right, thank you. And you're targeting a 5% return to investors and members of the cooperative. And that's been, you know, baked into the business model, obviously. And then on top of that, you've also managed to achieve EIS tax relief as well, which for those that don't know, it can provide 30% of your investment back through tax relief, income tax relief. So that obviously gives, you know, a good target rate for people to get involved with the organisation. Now, how hard was it to achieve that within the model, or actually is it relatively straightforward using this sort of cutback, administrative, streamlined approach?
Yeah, the actual amount that we will need to pay out in interest if we get the maximum is something like £6,000 a year. So we think that by the time we, you know, it's not a huge amount to pay out in interest, and we are looking to achieve the maximum. So it hasn't been too hard. I mean, the financial projections that we did prior to the offer going live, we could see that with the cash flow that we're, or the turnover that we're projected to get over the years, then that shouldn't be hard to achieve at all.
Yeah, good. And should say that, you know, the community shares advisors who work with co-ops and community benefit societies are really well experienced in helping organisations through this process, testing all of the financial assumptions and helping to get the business model really sharp for the share offers, which is super helpful also for Ethex to get that you know, stamp of approval before it comes on the platform. And Carol, back to you. In terms of your services, so obviously you've obviously must have been affected by COVID, as you mentioned, and you said that you were launching some digital services as well. How have you managed to sustain the business during the period, and how do you see the growth of the business moving forward?
So yes, you know, COVID for us has certainly been challenging. And right at the start, we spoke to our guests who were booked to come on holidays and found out from them what was it that we could provide that made a difference to them. And the digital services was something that they were interested but trepidatious. So we sought advice and actually ended up doing a Zoom with a group in Colorado who were doing something similar, learnt from them and did a pilot study with some of our guests and established interactive sessions that are a theme, that have got music, video, questions, and those sessions are something we're doing 2 of those a week. And we've also got just informal, you know, sessions a bit like this, where carers drop in and chat with one another. So that's what we've done. You know, that has all been volunteer based. those have been new people that have got involved. So, you know, as an organisation, it's been a very different way of working. We've also established activity packs that we send out to those guests who are not comfortable with digital, so that they have something fun coming through the letterbox that they can do together. And, you know, moving forward, our guests are absolutely desperate, you know, to go on holiday. You know, they want, like everybody else right now, that is something that they really looking forward to. So, you know, the thing is about seeing how the roadmap is coming out of lockdown. You know, we are fortunate in the sense that it's small groups that we take away, because we provide support and understand our guests and have extensive risk assessments, always have. So we're used to operating with the types of guidelines that are required. So although there will be adaptations for us, it's not perhaps as much of a change in how you approach things as some other organisations are having to do. And, you know, the properties that we use, we select them because they're dementia friendly. One of the key things is that, you know, people have their own en-suites, that there is significant space and light, because those are things that are important for people living with dementia. So again, for social distancing and all those things, what we already had established allows us to do all these sorts of things. So, you know, we're excited about the opportunity to take guests on holiday. And, you know, the big thing is everybody's been affected with COVID. There's no ifs, ands or buts, but the statistics that have come out around the impact it's had on people living with dementia and on the family carers are really major. You know, before COVID, family carers, 40% of them spent over 100 hours looking after their loved one with dementia. You know, that's increased to 50%. And the decline, the rate of decline for somebody living with dementia has increased significantly. So, you know, pre-COVID, we knew, well, we have evidence actually that we improve the well-being of both the person living with dementia and their family carer. So we know once we have the opportunity to take people on holiday that can really make a difference to them. So yes, yeah, I think
targeted. Sorry,
I was just going to say, you know, the other thing that I think is relevant for people to think about. You know, you asked at the beginning, you know, who were the people, you know, why were our holidays different? A lot of people living with dementia have decided that holidays aren't something that they can do anymore. That last holiday has just been too stressful. Yeah, they don't think they can do it anymore. And I think that's something we're all missing, that opportunity to do a holiday. So it's really, you know, recognizing that for all carers, yeah, you know, that there needs to be a different sort of service that supports them, that they have their own choice, that they don't necessarily have to go through you know, a doctor or a social worker to really get well-being benefits. So yeah, we're excited about the opportunity to really highlight a different way that you can yeah, live with dementia. Yeah.
And you're targeting £450,000 for your raise with a target of 4% return, again with EIS investment tax relief as well. And that 450,000, how specifically will that be spent for your growth?
So there's two major aspects for us. Yeah, one is to have sufficient cash to grow the organisation, because to book sufficient properties, to highlight sufficient marketing, that takes an initial investment. The feedback that we get from lots of people is, gosh, if we'd known about you, we would have come sooner.
Right.
One of our challenges has been balancing how much we have to spend to book those properties, how much we have to spend to publicise those properties, because we don't want to over publicise and over offer if we can't provide those holidays. So the money allows us to really publicise what we do and have sufficient funds to book those holidays, because we're only helping a tiny proportion. And, you know, everybody bar one person who was a person living with dementia who wasn't aware they were on holiday, all would come back on another holiday with us, yeah, if their health allowed. So it's about growing the organisation. But the other thing for the funding, you know, we've realised just how much we've learnt, and we want to be able to share that, so that, you know, people who don't necessarily need our level of support but are trepidatious, we can share our learnings about the simple things you can do, in the sense of having reusable signs, as an example, yeah, that you can put on the door of the bathroom when you're on holiday or just visiting family, or the little tips that we've learned, because, you know, one of the things that everybody living with dementia worries about is, where's the toilet, yeah, and all these sorts of things. And, you know, what if I have an accident in bed and wet the bed and everything? Well, we've got all those things covered, and we've got some really simple things that people can do in their everyday life and when they go on holidays, and we really want to share that. And also the learning we've had about the places you can go and visit. Right. You know, we linked up with Ewan's Guide, who are essentially a disabled trip advisor. And we said, why don't you incorporate dementia as one of the aspects in which you assess different places to visit? So again, we've been slowly populating things like that. So it's about spreading that word, so people realise, yep, last one was maybe bad, but maybe there are different things I can try, and we can still go on holiday.
Great. And that sort of collaboration is obviously really encouraged with co-ops and community benefit societies. And in fact, just before we went live with our discussion, the two panelists were talking about how they could follow up together and have another conversation, and maybe collaborate in some way, which is really fantastic. So Jen, what are the questions that I haven't asked you? What would you like to say, just to sort of close out?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of ambition, especially on the tech side, and how we bring people into that, because I think we all know that sometimes tech can be used not for good, and we've seen the likes of the large corporations that actually don't offer benefits to their workers, such as Amazon, Uber. We've seen Uber being taken to the High Court recently, and what we're doing is not ousting the user, but bringing them back into the process, and the supplier as well. So how we're using tech is very different to how it's been used before, and very much supporting users and suppliers for the benefit of businesses in the public sector. And our ambitions with that are huge. There's so much we can do to bring users into the service, and benefits that we can build in, as well as things like calendar syncing for interpreters. So there's a lot for us to do, and we're working a lot now on the data side as well. There's the use of data can't be underestimated, and that's so important. And I think with private businesses, what we've seen is that the community can't access data on services. It's all held as commercially sensitive. There's nothing done with shared data or open data. So we're exploring that at the moment as well, and how we can bring benefits to the wider deaf community using data too. And then on the other side, we're looking at the business infrastructure. So growing that so that we can scale at a much more rapid pace. We don't want to do this slowly. We've got a lot to offer, and we want to do it quick. So that's what we'll be using our investment for too.
Lovely, thank you. And I forgot to ask you earlier about the other people who are involved, the other directors of the organisation. Do they have sort of specific backgrounds that link into any specific areas?
Yeah, so we've got 2 in-house developers. So I retrained as a developer, and my colleague Wes Mahaffey did. We've got 1 user member who's deaf. She's got a wealth of experience running organisations. As a chief executive, she's been involved in gosh, I can't even, 30 years in the disability rights movement. So she's on the board and very valued. And we also have 2 local interpreters from Merseyside as well on the board. We're looking to grow the capacity on the user side as well. So we look forward to welcoming more deaf board members, and we're looking forward to having some investor members as well.
Right.
On the board. We've got space for 2 investor members on the board, so we'll be looking out for people that can help us grow the organisation as well.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, we with the organisations we have helped over the years, you know, we do see quite a good flow of directors from the investor base, which is really excellent to see. And just a last question for you, which I think you've touched upon before, but perhaps you could just recap quickly. How long before the operation is national rather than regional?
Oh, well, I think we have to grow carefully. It's about balancing the user membership as well as the worker membership. So we want to take our time. We don't want to go national too quickly. We need to go where there are strong communities already there, and just we don't have a plan or a timeline for when we will be national, but we want to operate in the Northwest and get much stronger there before we start going out to the rest of the country. So it will just depend on how fast we can get the business in those local regions. The structure is all there. We just have to replicate the model in other places. So we could grow quite quickly if the need is there, and user members and worker members are ready in those regions to go for it and join the cooperative structure.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I think, you know, what's quite clear for both organisations is the demand for services is actually really, really high. And so in a way it's, you know, how fast can you run, you know, whilst obviously building a sustainable business, and one that really does deliver on the needs to those individual users and customers. So Carol, to you then, just to round up as well, what would you like to say? What haven't I asked you?
It's a good question. I've been thinking lots as Jen's been chatting, and different things have been going through my head. And I think probably the one is, why did we convert to a charitable community benefit society? I think that's probably the question that I'd like to answer. And you know, that is in some ways similar ethos and similar reasons to what Jen's highlighted. You know, it's about having an organisation that's driven by your members. You know, we've always continuously sought feedback, but actually having an organisation that has that structure, and also having a governance, that is working with the members and working with the staff that's delivering our services, is the key thing. And the charitable bit is what I was touching on, about really communicating, sharing and learning everything that we find out, and facilitating within a cooperative environment that shared cooperation to you know, perhaps think about different ways that we can support people with dementia, but also, you know, our model could equally be applicable to other chronic diseases where people need just that extra knowledge on what are those things that are those little nagging doubts in the back of your mind that stop you doing certain things. So, you know, I think that's another reason for being a charitable community benefit society. and converting. And one of the other things for us is, to grow as our previous structure. There are opportunities, but they were driven on a profit basis. We were always set up so that we kept the price as low as possible, so as many people could access it, and to maintain the quality. And having this structure and having the opportunity to do the community shares allows us to balance sustainability and quality, which to me are how the best type of organisation should be set up.
Right, lovely. And I think, Ethex very much sees itself as an enabler. We help to facilitate the investment from individuals into great organisations with extraordinary people running them. And it's great to see, two enablers here as well, who are, enabling individuals to, be empowered to live their lives, in a good and right way. And that's excellent to see. So it's been lovely to talk to you both, and thank you very much, Claire, for helping us along the way today. If anyone has any further questions they'd like to send through, then please do just ping us an email at Ethex, and we'll send through a follow-up email as well. Yeah, it's been great to talk to you today, and I hope that the offers do extraordinarily well, and I'd love to see you back here another time. Thank you very much, and see you soon.
Thanks very much. Really enjoyed chatting.
Yeah, me too. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bye.
Thank you, Claire.
Thanks, Claire.
Bye.